Hi YouTube buddies, I'm standing out here by Riverside Cemetery. This is one of the cemeteries, this is one of the cemeteries that I frequent a lot. Yeah, I guess that's kind of redundant, right? But I come out here quite a bit with my sister, usually.
The founders of Jackson.
But this is, front entrance. This is the closed sign that I have as the background on my page. It was actually buried, like it's been sitting so long in between those bushes, it was buried under all that dirt right there. The cemetery, I believe they said, is like 10 acres, and there's like 4,000 people buried here, they said, right around that, give or take a few, of course. But only about I think they said like 3,500 of them are marked. Now some of those, they're not marked just because they've been worn away or disappeared, broken, whatever. But there's about 200 completely unmarked graves here. 100 of those are the Confederate soldiers, some of the Confederate soldiers, and another 100 actually are slaves. There's a lot of slaves here that are actually buried with the families they worked for. And then there's a whole section, I believe down that way somewhere, that is just for the slaves back over in the corner. I just wanted to, jump on, say hi, show you what I do when it's nice outside, and let's roam around in cemeteries, or at least 2 cemeteries, because I can only get to 2 fairly easily, because there's 2 within walking distance of my house. This is the first, although not technically the first cemetery, it is the first cemetery. They had one, and then they moved some of the bodies here and used that land for something else. The first person to be buried here was a little girl. Her father had donated a bunch of land to Jackson, and he's buried here also. Founder of all 3 of our colleges actually are buried here, which I just found that I knew one of them was buried here, but I actually found out that the other one right before I came. I was looking up, getting some of the research done, because I'd had some way back when, and it all got lost when I moved. So I found out some stuff I didn't know, because I didn't, the research I had was just kind of basic. The first person to be buried here, the unknown soldiers, that sort of thing.
My hands are missing.
Yeah, she is talking about that lady up there. She's missing both her hands. They've been worn away by the weather. Which, of course, since this has been here since the first girl that was buried here, although they have the official date is 1830, the little girl was buried here in 1824, I believe. So that was like 6 years before they officially say it was founded as a cemetery. Now, I was also reading, and said that there hasn't been any. It said that there hadn't been any new burials here for about 50 years, and that was in 2002. So it's been quite some time. I guess there's still some open plots in some places that are for like family and stuff, but most of the space has been taken up. And unfortunately, you see a lot of this. Tombstones that are just laying in pieces, if they're there at all, and cracked, damaged. But that's what you get when you get old cemeteries, unfortunately. I wish there was a way to restore some of these places to, I guess you could say, their former glory. We have this wonderful lady here. if you actually get close enough to her face, it actually almost looks, if you're standing down, like she's watching you. If you're standing underneath there. Although I'm not necessarily creeped out by that, so. They've actually named this place the City of the Dead just because of all the taller tombstones that stick out and stand up. It looks like a city, like a cityscape. And I'm sorry if I'm kind of mumbling and kind of sniffly. Our weather's been so wacky here that my allergies are just horrible. Of course, my allergies are always horrible. And then if there's a lot of noise, right over there is a bypass for a highway. So unfortunately, there's a lot of vehicles. And then straight back that way, where we came in at, on the other side of that wall is a main road. So there's probably a lot of background noise, and I apologize. One of my pastimes actually is cemetery photography, at least in the couple of local cemeteries around here. I've been in here off and on for about 5 or 6 years taking pictures. And a lot of times I end up taking pictures from the same graves, but then a lot of times I'll find new ones that I didn't even know were there, or I'll notice something, or there'll be something different. And so I will take pictures. And I'm hoping you guys can see everything okay, because there is a major glare on the screen for my camera. So it looks really, really, really dark to me. Or I can't see it all. So if anytime anything's out of frame or fuzzy or anything, I apologize, because I'm having a hard time seeing because it's so bright out here. But seeing as how we have a nice warm bright day in January in Tennessee, I'm taking advantage of it. And I'm sure that there's a few people out there, like they said, rock and roll, who would agree with me on taking advantage of such a nice day. Because we don't get these very often this time of the year around here. Usually we're sitting inside bundled up in layers of clothing because it's freezing. This guy right here, I'm not sure what grave he goes to. He's usually lying on the ground right there. I was in here yesterday and I had tried to shoot this video, but I was even more kind of mumbly and jumbled than I am today. And then the wind was blowing so hard that there was a lot of points where you couldn't hear anything I was saying. So, but when we were here yesterday, my brother just didn't like him laying there in the dirt, so he picked him up and leaned him up against the tree. So, but he used to actually be standing up on that pedestal, and he used to stand right there where that big square is. And every time I came in here, he was facing a different way. I don't know if somebody was moving him or something was moving him, but he would always be looking off in a different direction than what he was the last time I was here. He actually hasn't moved at all since he was put there yesterday, though. There's a few graves in here that are like completely unmarked. I'll get over to one of them in a few minutes. It's a big round brick structure and there's no marking on the grave whatsoever, so you have no idea who's buried there. Even when I was doing the research, it said that it was unmarked. It's just a big mound of brick.
And then you have a giant globe. Deer.
Apparently, sure, what? Pick him up. There's another one right there in front of you. You almost just stepped on it. Sorry, feathers. You always find feathers. And there's a lot of black feathers laying around here. And every time I come in here, there's black feathers laying around here. Always. See? Oop, wind's trying to blow them out of my hands. Feathers are always good. Is this where you found them out yesterday?
What?
Is this where you found them out yesterday?
No.
Grab that blood out of my hand.
I found them over there by the, thing.
Oh yeah, see? Like, oh, I don't know if I can't see if you can see. I'm sorry, but it's like 5 or 6 feathers, and they were all just along right here.
There's more over here.
And there's a bunch more right here. I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic, I know, feather hunting. But I like to try to collect them when I can. And now I'm beginning to think, because these are all, there you are. Those are all attached. So I think that maybe there may have been a bird that died or was eaten.
That's a great one.
There's a whole bunch by your feet. In here that are attacking the birds because they fly around. There's always birds in here, tons of them. You may have been able to hear a few minutes ago making noise flying by, if you could hear them over all the vehicles. So yeah, finding feathers, although I don't think there's ever been this many spread out, finding feathers is a common thing in here. Bringing you over to one of my other favorite statues in here. It's got the family name and the steps right here. And then there's this angel here. And you can barely see the inscription on the tombstone, on the top of the tombstone there. Yeah, it is. Awesome hunk of wood.
It was just laying there and it called to me.
Yeah, my sister picked up, like, if she'd hold it still so I can show you guys. Yeah, like this awesome weird knotted hunk of wood from something. Yeah, back. Yeah. Back to.
Vampire State.
Yes, I do collect things from the graveyard.
Just not bodies.
If it's. Excuse her. If there's flowers or something growing over in Hollywood, there's a lot of daffodils that grow, so I'll pick them, but not if they're actually growing directly over a grave. If they're just out in a grassy area or something, then yeah, I'll pick them. And then, feathers and things that are laying on the ground, I'll pick up. I found my wand actually walking outside the sidewalk of the graveyard. Okay, back to the angel. The research that I just had said that at one point, apparently, I'm trying to stand in between, but there's not a lot of space here, if you can see this. So I'm kind of, which I'm in here a lot, and they all know I mean no harm. I don't come in here and just trample and jump up and down and be rude and inconsiderate. I actually always say a prayer before I walk in here. Forgive me if I walk over you. Especially because when I'm in here trying to get pictures, sometimes there's just not space to move. Okay, I'm rambling again. She is supposed to have a staff that extends, I guess, on that one side, and then her hand that should be there, that is holding the basket, they said was pointed down towards the grave. Now, she's never had either hand since I've been coming in here. She's always been handless and armless. So, yeah, at some point her hand was like facing downward.
Her ring's even broken.
Yeah. She's, now you can see
her neck, her head fell off at one point.
Yeah, you can see there's been places, sometimes people come here and do fixed things. She's got, cement there to hold her head back on. And her wings back here have been cemented back on. But apparently, I have to assume they couldn't cement her arms and stuff back on or they would be there. But yeah, there's a lot of great big crosses and obelisks, and I may not have pronounced that right, but they're everywhere out here.
And I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a lot of masons in this cemetery.
Yeah, there are quite a few.
Ooh, this one has a heart.
Yeah, I have pictures of that.
It's pretty.
I'll probably take more pictures of it if I remember before we leave.
Probably not.
I was going to the Art Institute and I had to do a project for one of my classes, and the project I chose was the cemeteries because it was easily accessible to me. So, yeah, on top of just taking pictures with my old point and shoot like I used to when I got my camera for school, I came in here and managed to get some totally awesome shots of some of this stuff. And I don't know if you can see it in the camera, if you can see the color, but this tombstone's blue. It is actually, I guess, painted blue. And apparently there's a tree or something trying to go right next to it. But see, like, as many times as I've come in here, that's the first time I've ever noticed that blue tombstone. Every time I come in here, I see something different, no matter how many times I've been here.
We're going over by the trickster.
Yeah, my sister said there's a ghost in here that likes to play tricks on people.
Could have been who messed up the keychain.
Yeah, when we were in here yesterday, I had an issue with the keychain, and I did a quick little video on it, and I will probably try to attach that at the end of this one so you can see. But when I was taking pictures, I had laid down, this one's blue too. I'm sorry, random. But he's kind of blue. Down. There's a lot of little places like this too. I think it says perpetual care. I think it was somebody who was supposed to take care. It was someone who was supposed to take care of some of these graves or something, because there's 2 or 3 of those around here. See, there's another blue tombstone. I don't know if somebody decided to paint them at some point or what.
And then you just have random tombstones that are
like if you see,
like
you see this, like those 2 are sitting right there, and then you have this one right here, and then this down here. Like, they're all kind of, some of them are just kind of stuck, and that's why when I'm walking through here, it makes it kind of difficult to tell where some people in and some again. And there aren't a lot of places in between graves to walk in some of the spots, like over by that angel. So that's why I said I do, kind of do a prayer, let the spirits know I'm not here trying to disturb anyone or hurt anything or bother anybody, and I'm in no way trying to be disrespectful. I've had to get on, I came into the other one, the other cemetery I go to, I went with my kids, and then at the time, the boyfriend I had, I went with his nephew because he wanted to see the cemetery. And at one point I turned around and I couldn't see my kids, and I asked where they were, and they pop up out of one of the things like that. And I got all over them about it because my kids know better.
Feathers. They weren't there just a second ago, I swear.
The other cemetery, my sister made a comment on somebody's name.
It was a weird name.
And a bird literally fell from the tree and landed almost on her head. When we looked down, you could see the bird was freshly dead. There was like blood coming kind of where it had landed. So, yeah, we kind of learned, watch what you say too, not just what you do. And she wasn't even trying to be intentionally disrespectful. It was just a very strange name that she'd commented on. And if she gets into the cemetery and she starts swearing a lot, she'll get acorns thrown at her. Sticks, pine cones, yeah. That one cemetery, which is the one we go to more, kind of keeps her in check. Which I don't know how many of you people actually believe in spirits and spirits kind of picking with you or being able to see or talk with them or anything like that. Myself and my sister very much believe. I used to have a ghost in one house I lived in that would hang out above my daughter's bed and would talk to her. I came in, I'd put her to bed one night, and I went in there to talk to her, and I was like, I heard her, just kind of gibbering. She was like 2 or 3 years old, and I said, "Who are you talking to?" And she's like, "My friend," and pointed to the ceiling, and I looked up, and you could kind of see a little shadow just kind of hanging out up there, kind of moving around. I was like, "Okay, sure, if you say so."
Go get Auntie Mama.
This is the guy who donated some land to Jackson, and his daughter was the first person to actually officially be buried here. He's actually related to Andrew Jackson through marriage. All through here they have these little plaquey things. Just kind of glare. I don't know if you can read this. Well, we have them all over the place. That just kind of tells you who, like important people, who they are and whatnot. His daughter Mary is supposed to be buried somewhere through here, and I'm not sure if she's buried over here near him, because these graves are very, very hard to read, and like this one's knocked over. So, it was Dr. William E. Butler, which is that guy, and then his wife Martha, and then their daughter Mary, and Mary is somewhere through here, but I'm not sure. And then their son is buried. That's their son there. And like, I'm trying to read these graves, but I can't really see.
That's his wife.
Is that
his wife right there?
Wife of Butler J. Oh, that's Junior's wife. Because see, W, Junior, J.
Okay.
So that's Junior's wife right there. And this says our mother, so I believe that this is Martha. Like I said, I can't read it. I want to get the stuff to do some grave rubbings. Which you might be able to see it a little bit better on camera, I don't know. So I'm wondering if this isn't Mary right here, because it's so embedded into the ground and fallen over. Like, you can't read any of this. I need to look up and see if I can't find the lot. That is very, very loud. I apologize. But yeah, if you guys can see that, it's just laying there in the middle in the front of all these other graves. So yeah, older cemeteries sometimes just sort of random with the way they place things. And you can tell that some people have come out here because you have fresh, like the fresh fake flowers. So people still do come out here occasionally for their families. You see, this is another one of those perpetual care things, and then there was one over there that I may have just gotten a second ago. But this grave is completely like crumbling, falling in. Don't even know who it could have belonged to. And there's like another one here. This one actually has a headstone here, but I don't know. I guess that goes to there because they both say Fortune. So I have no idea who this is.
There's another feather sticking out right up.
Where?
By Fortune.
Oh, yeah. I guess.
Look how pretty. It has like a shiny blue purplish hues when the sun hits it.
I don't know if you guys can see the shiny, but like when you move them, they change color from like purple to blue to green. It's awesome. And if anybody knows anything about birds and knows where that may have come from, love to know. I know nothing about birds, except for the cardinals that seem to be appearing in my life the last few weeks a lot. Like, he's got books on there, and I'm not sure. There's another one that's back a little farther that has books on their grave too, but there's, and somewhere in my papers there was a guy that had something to do with the women's, some sort of women's library. I'm sorry, I'm like trying to do this one-handed here in the wind.
There's another feather.
I think my sister's getting annoyed with the feathers. Let's see. Jones. Okay, yeah, so this is the guy. He was president of the Memphis Conference Female Institute. And I guess that the books have to are commemorating the fact that he was an educator. I just think it's awesome that he's got a bookshelf on his tombstone. Like, that'd be something I would do because I love to read. Little tiny gray feathers. I'm sorry, this is random. I'm gonna have to call this video like cemeteries and feathers or something, because they're everywhere.
I think I gained 10 pounds with all these feathers.
Feathers don't weigh that much. And this is what I was telling you about the big brick. Nobody knows who's in here. It's just here.
I wasn't there yesterday.
Yeah, it was.
It was science.
Yep. Yeah. And see, this is right in front of this. So I'm wondering, this says wife of, I'm wondering if maybe husband isn't in there. I don't know. One of the many, many mysteries. Boop. I almost fell. I'm very clumsy, and there's lots of hills and holes. I want to take you guys around to where the soldiers are, the unmarked graves where the soldiers are. And then,
I see another feather on the screen.
see another feather? You have a feather.
Really? How to point them out?
Yep.
Ah!
Yeah, so you have all the old crumbling, like, really thin, tiny tombstones that are all coming apart over here. That empty area up in the front there, that's the unknown soldier. All that area up there. There's like 2 different places for them. One is like 75 and the other's like 25 or 50 or something. I just charged it last night, so. This we jokingly call the graveyard. All the pieces of the tombstones and whatever seem to be discarded over here. Like, I think that's part of a bench that was by a tombstone. The pillars, initials. Like, there's a full-on grave marker just sitting here. So, yeah. So this is the plaque showing the Confederate soldiers. It tells you that here, which is like the spot right here, you have like 40 soldiers, and then that area that I was just in, where I said I was probably walking over the soldiers' graves, that area is the unmarked soldiers and unmarked slaves for the most part. So you. So I don't really make a whole lot of videos. I haven't gotten very good at this yet. And there's a lot of stuff in here that I want you guys to be able to see. So I actually have a picture of those 2 pillars there, and I took it from the other side, and I managed to get the sun streaming straight between the 2 pillars. It was really awesome. I converted it to black and white, and it looked even more awesome. Anyways, alright, I'm gonna let you guys go. I think this has gone on long enough, and I'll talk to you later. In the cemetery, I was laying down to get a better angle on a picture I was taking, and I stood up, and this is the carabiner that holds my keys onto my pants, my keychain. This was one of the keychains. This was hooked to this, through this, and when I stood up, my keys were on the ground. This was still on my belt with this attached. There was nothing on the ground that this could have caught on to stretch it like this. Can you guys see that? I mean, you know, this at one point looked like this. Like, how does that happen? Because like I said, I was just laying flat on the ground. There was nothing for it to catch on because it was hooked through here, through there. So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys that because I thought it was kind of interesting. I think I may have upset somebody when I laid down to take a picture. But the spot I was laying on, as far as I knew, didn't actually have a grave underneath it, but I could have been wrong. Again, old cemetery, places aren't the way they should be. So anyway, just want to show you that. Bye!